Hi guys, it's me again. Today I want to talk quickly about side decking. In all honesty, this is a very complex subject, but it's important for people to realize that most of the games they are gonna play in a tournament setting are games with side deck. I mean, games 2 and 3. So yeah, it's important to know what you're doing. And basically, side decking is a game of numbers. It's basically the same as deck building. People like focus too much on the main deck and then don't even think about the side, and that's a problem. But I'm gonna explain you. So, the first thing is to notice that in this video I'm gonna feature 3 of my decks, and I'm gonna explain you a bit the rationale or the logic between the side decking I do and why I choose certain cards and how to identify how many slots you can safely side out. So let's go. This is the first deck, like the Altergeist deck. This is a really basic deck. This deck really has not a lot of issues side decking because it's honestly a pretty linear deck. So the first thing to notice is that we have going first cards, which are like the Solemns and maybe the Imperial Order, and we have like going first or second cards like this. We have engine cards, which is our monsters, and these are engine cards. And then we have going second cards, which are draw and evenly matched. I'm not gonna explain why I'm playing these cards, because this is not the video. I don't want this to be usually long. I could totally talk about this deck later and why I'm choosing to do this, but this is not the time, right? So let's set up simple scenarios. Like to make this really simple, let's say we have combo decks and control decks. I mean, we can have combinations like Salamangreats or even the Lunalites, but let's just focus on combo and non-combo, or combo and control. And we let's define control for backrow decks like Altergeist, like Guru, etc. And let's define for combo decks stuff like Spiral, Shaddolls, etc. Right? So to make this really simple, you should never, under any circumstance, side out your engine cards. In this deck, we're going to identify our engine cards, right? So it's our monster lineup, and then we have our pots, right? Then we have more pots. Then we have the Altergeist traps. Then the Altergeist related traps, all of this. Right, so we're never going to want to touch like any of these cards, right? It's 22. All of these 22 must be always in our decks, right? So this is the realistic space we have. Now, because impermanence is a card that is good going first or second, we are likely not going to move it too much, so we can more or less put it here. And this is the space we have. So let's assume we won game 1 and we're going into game 2 versus Spiral, right? It's very likely that Spiral is going to want to go first. So what should we do? Like, we should be aiming for the worst case scenario, that they might be able to pull off a good hand and they will try to combo us off, right? So out of all of these cards left, we have a clear set of cards that are totally not good going second, like Imperial Order and the Solemn cards are all atrociously bad going second, like they're literally useless. It's like opening a 5 card hand instead of a 6 card hand. So we're going to want to side all of them out, right? So that's the first thing. What what do we put in? That's a good question. In this particular side deck, what I would put in is the 3 spheres, the 3 crows, and then the first thing I would take out would be like the solemns, right? And then I have an extra card. I don't have any other card I want to replace this solemn with. Like, I could even cut like the Imperial Order. That would be the pecking order, right? the Imperial Order. I think I lost my Imperial Order, but it really doesn't matter too much. So, so what we did here was to make our deck better going second because we have good cards going second, like the three spheres, the three crows, the three trolls. We have this, we have the evil list, and we only have these two cards that are not that good going second. I mean, we have the Altergeist engine cards, but what can we do about that? So there, that's that. But we only have these two trap cards that are really not gonna help us in case we go second. Right, let's assume they won game one and we are going to want to go when we're going to want to play first in game two. What we're going to do is basically apply the same reverse logic. We're going to remove all of the cards that are not good going first. And of course the spheres are not good going first, right? So we are going to put all back in all of our cards that are good going first. All of them. Right? And we're going to remove low impact cards or cards that are literally not good going first. Right? At this point I have a 40 card deck. But because it's very likely that they are going to add like the Lightning Storm or the Evilly Match, which are really crippling cards for this deck, what we're going to want to do is play counters to that card, to those cards, so we can control the board better. In this case, Evilly Match is completely useless going first, so that's the first thing I would replace here. My counter for even for Lightning Storm and Evilly Match is a pointer of the Red Lotus, so it covers me 2 rolls. But because I only have 1/3 chance to open this, and they have like a 60% chance to open either Lightning or Evilly Match, I'm going to want to have an extra counter, right? So in this case, I'm going to pick Waking the Dragon as my second counter and going to remove the Droll and Lockbird. I mean, 1, 2, and 3. If you don't feel like completely safe about doing this, like you could replace the Upstart and maybe one Duality, but these are engine cards, I wouldn't want to go there. Or maybe even the Impermanence, which has low impact, and then play the Drolls. But I like it this way. So in this scenario, half of the time they have Lightning or Evilly Match, I'm gonna have an answer. So that's incredibly good for me because it increases my win rate a lot. So that's more or less the thing I would like to do. The only sided card I didn't use was like Heavy Storm Duster, and this is basically against control decks. This is the best Mystical Space Typhoon thing against control decks. So I would side this card either going first or second, and it's the easy replacement is like the Drawn and Lockbird, right? Like against Guru, etc. Mirror Match, etc. Let's go with the second deck. This deck was pretty easy because we literally just sided for going first or going second, right? So now I'm going to complicate things a bit further with Noble Knight. This is my current Noble Knight deck. This is pretty much a kind of a standard 60 card build, but I'm running some tests, right? So as you can see, because this deck is 60 cards, my percentages of opening stuff decrease from the 40 card build, so I need more sided cards. If you look closely in my Altergeist deck, not in this, but I'm gonna show you the other deck I'm going to feature, like is invoked. In my invoked deck, I have 6 anti-backrow cards, 3 Evilies and 3 Lightning Storms. But in Noble Knights, I have to go as far as to play 9 back row counters. Because where I live, people plays a lot of back row. And the chances of seeing 6 is not enough. Like, it's not even close to that. So, yep, that's it. This deck is a bit more complex because this deck has a bunch of critical combo pieces like the extenders, the swords, and even the normal summons. Even these guys have pretty critical roles over the course of a game, so you really cannot remove them. So what do I do? Let's say I won game one and I'm going second against a backrow deck. What am I gonna do? The first thing is that I don't need Ties of the Brethren, right? Because why would I need such a card if I'm going second? Like, it really doesn't make any sense. And then I would add like the first three lightning storms, right? Then, because I'm going second, Magician Souls loses a lot of versatility, so I'm gonna cut the 4 slots to add 4 more anti-backrow cuts. And finally, this is the where things start to get a bit more complicated. I need to side in 2 more cuts, and right. The first thing is that this is an extra normal summon I usually don't need, so this is totally fine to cut because going second against this is a card you use when you are able to set up boards, but it's a card you likely don't have many uses for if you are going to struggle setting up boards. This is basically a toolbox card with low impact, so you don't want to have this available if you are not certain you're going to set up. So this is one option. The other option is that if I'm playing against back row, I totally don't need Dragonox. This card I played not because of the empowerment, that's kind of an overlap, but I played to be my first search of Isolda and basically search Threatening Roar from my deck, so I don't need that card either. And then I could either cut like one empowerment, right? And then 1, 2, I even got 3 slots, right? So I play. Because I cannot play less cards in the main deck than those I had before siding, I would need to add another card out of this. But because I'm playing against control, let's say Altergeist, none of these cards are critical to my strategy. So, but it's very likely that I'm going to want to extend. So I could either go with a Bane or the Empowerment. In this case, I would likely go with Empowerment. And this is how I side deck with a very complex combo deck going second. If you look closely, I don't have that many spaces. Let's say I lost game one and I want to go first against the same Altergeist deck. In this case, Lightning Storm and Evenly Matched are honestly not good choices because they reduce my hand size from 5 to 4. So I don't want to see them. What I want to see here are a bunch of extenders, right? Things that when drawn will make sure that my deck goes off. I want to maximize my consistency. So I will likely not necessarily want to play a Dragonox because again I already explained his role. But this is a case where I would likely want to play Ties. God, sorry guys. I will want to play Ties, right? Why so? Because it maximizes my chances to see boards. And if I resolve this turn 1 against control, I'm going to summon like Dresden and Brothers, and then they are going to be so far behind that it's not really gonna matter, even if they hit like they sold with an Ash or an Impermanence. So that's it. In this case, Twin Twisters is like a very it's like one of those cards that I could totally live in because they can draw a floodgate out of outside of turn 1. So I would love to have some sort of answer. So it's something I could see myself living in. It depends on what I manage to see on game 1, but in all honesty, it still contradicts our logic of playing for full consistency, right? So in this case, I would likely going first against Altergeist, game 2, leave my deck as it was with Exodius, right? This is my 60 card. Well, I can't see, well, with Exodius in the 60th slot, right? Here, let's say we have Exodius in the 60th slot. So I would likely leave my deck as is. So that's basically it against control. Let's say I play against combo. Fortunately, against combo, I only have 6 cards. So what I would do is literally go ahead and remove 6 cards that are not good, like like the 3 ties and the 3 ties. 1, 2, 3. Uh, then I would add 1, 2, 3, 1. Well, I need the space for Exodius, right? It's 3. Then I would totally cut the vein because I don't need it. I would cut mm, this guy as well. In this scenario, I would cut this guy and then play like the 3 Nibiru. 3, and I would either cut like the empowerment or the terraforming. So either one is fine. So in this case, I would have Exodus here as a 60 slot. In this case, I have all of my 6 anti-combo cards in main deck and apply for maximum consistency, so they need more negations to try to take the game off me. So that's it. If you look closely, I didn't mess up with these cards, which are my engine cards. Like, I only mess up with the stuff that is not necessarily critical to carry on my strategy. I didn't mess up with with extenders or even the until noble arms are needed once again. So that's it. And now for the part that people wanted to see is how to side, how the way I'm side decking with my Shaddoll deck. This is my Shaddoll deck, my current Shaddoll deck list. And yeah, this is a fairly complex deck to side deck. Why so? Because basically it's 40 combo pieces with the exception of upstart, right? So basically everything is a combo piece. So first up, let's identify our critical cards. So I'm going to basically pull down all of the cards that are not critical to our strategy. I'm gonna put them down here so it's clear. And in this case, we're going to treat non-critical cards as cards that that have nothing to do with fusing a monster. So, yep, if you look closely, we have like a bunch of space. Like all of these cards were fused with the exception of Dragon. Uh, Basically, all self-replace or all give me more materials. The same can be said for clowns. I usually never side out clowns, so that really doesn't matter. So this card, there's a big debate, like if it's necessary to main deck the invoked shadows, and that's mainly because we are not aiming to open construct with Wendy. So I don't find this card usually good, to be completely honest, in this deck, but let's not cut it. So if you look closely, we have 8 slots to side deck. So yep, we have all of these cards. I'm missing 2 cards because I honestly don't know what else to side in. Like I could side in Crow or something, but I'm not convinced. So, uh, this is basically all of our space. So let's say we are going second against a Spiral, right? So we're going to play 3 Super Police. We're going to play 3 Rolls. And then the first thing I'm going to take out are the Magician Souls and the Exodius. And then I still need to side out 2 cards. The Abstract Goblin is perfectly acceptable to side deck out here. And then we have like the Allures. Removing Allures is completely fine because we removed 3 targets, so the card could be less consistent. It's totally fine. Like usually what I do is like cutting away all of the Allures and like put this in as random cards. And even if I'm going second, I don't know if I'm going to be able to combo, so I don't even want to see this type of cards, right? So this is one way to side deck. If you look closely, I basically played with the space I had available, and I still have a relatively cohesive deck. I didn't mess up with like these meltdowns or the terraforming or the clowns or the Alistair. right? So that's one way to do it. Like that, this was going second against a spiral. Now say, now let's say we want the right die roll. Uh, if we win the die, if we win the die roll, sorry, if we win game one against the spiral, we cite nothing. We leave our deck assist. Sorry, sorry. If we are going first against the spiral for whatever reason, we don't move our deck. We play our deck assist because in theory our deck should be maximized to open well in game one. So our deck should work pretty fine. It's just not worth it to side deck counters for stuff like Ash or Droll or something. Like, just know your deck should be built to try to play around those type of cards as much as possible. And if it's not possible, well, they can be inevitable cards. You can counter every sided card they put against you. Like, you are not meant to win every game in this game. Every game you play, like you're not meant to, you're not entitled to wins. You have to work for them, and sometimes the luck won't be on you because you only have 15 side X slots, so you have to maximize them. So now let's say we're going second against a control deck. Let's say Guru, right? Against Guru. So against Guru, because we're going second against a control deck, the obvious choices are always like Lightning Storm and Evenly Matched, right? So this is one way to do it, and obviously the draws don't work fine against Guru, so I would leave in like either Magician Souls or Allure of Darkness. Either one is fine. So if you're going to put this in, you are not going to want to mess up certain other stuff. Like, if you're going second against Guru, it's not very likely that you're going to be able to combo off. So you can remove this and this, and you should have a pretty competent deck that is going to be able to hold off really well against Guru. Like, these cards are combo cards for certain scenarios with constructs. So even we could debate that we could even go all the way back and debate if we really do need these cards. So, but that's entire it's a discussion for another day. But yeah, if you're constantly citing them out because they are only combo win mode cards, then it's likely we shouldn't even be playing them. But let's just focus on the matter at hand. And in this way, you have a competent deck that didn't mess up with core engine cards like the Meltdowns, the Terraforming, or the Fusion Spell cards against Guru going second. You have everything you need, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are almost 60% chance to see one of them. And if we account like for the Magician Souls, the percentage should be a bit higher, so that's fine. That's one thing. Yep. Why don't we side deck normal summons in shadows? It's because we are in invoke shadows to be more precise. Even in pure shadows, you don't side deck normal summons either. But let's just focus on this deck. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 normal summons, which in a 40 card deck puts you at a very dangerous 1 out of 3 games opening to normal summons. So if you increase 7? No, sorry, 7 is like 25% of between 22 and 25%. If you increase this number to 9 normal summons, let's say we wanted to add 2 Denko seconds instead of these clowns, what is going to happen is that we're going to open like Denko and Alistair like one out of 3 games, which means that we are effectively side decking a useless card because Alistar takes precedence for our normal summons because it's a core engine card. So that's why we don't side deck normal summons in shadows or stuff that blocks the normal summon like Lava Golem and stuff. So that's it. To summarize this video, first identify your core engine pieces and don't move them or move them as little as possible. Then identify how many cards you can take out from your deck. Like how many cards are not necessarily necessary to carry on your strategy. Third, identify which cards are good going first or second. Then identify which cards are the most effective against the meta. Like people usually goes all the way to step 4 and forgets about all of the other steps. So that's my advice, guys. This video took long, so see you later.